is NFL draft expert Todd McShay from The McShay Show, which will be live streaming coverage of the NFL draft next week on Spotify and on YouTube. Make sure you follow along on X, T McShay 13. Do we have him? Are we good? Are we connected? Todd, you there?
I'm here.
What's going on?
We've been trying to get you on forever.
I've always been told I got a face for radio, so maybe I think this works out well.
Well, we all do, but they simulcast us on TV, too.
This is go time, man. You only got a week to go. Do you get nervous this time of year?
No, I get relieved, honestly. Like the evaluations are done. All the hay is in the barn, as they like to say in the NFL. So now it's more fun. Now it's having a lot of conversations with people in the league. Everyone's trying to get information from me, and I'm in turn getting information from them, and trying to figure out how the top of this board is going to play out more than anything. And I'm just getting ready to head out to LA. We got a week full of coverage and really fired up for it.
Well, the big question is the Patriots at 4 here, obviously, Todd. And if, say it does go chalk and Carter goes to the Giants at 3 with Hunter going prior to him to Cleveland, does Will Campbell get picked by the Patriots at 4, in your opinion?
It seems to be trending that way, right? And there's a lot that goes into it. Is he Joe Alt? No. And you'd love to be picking at 4 and have an opportunity to draft a Joe Alt. But what Will Campbell is experienced SEC. He's going to walk in right away, whether it's the Patriots organization or another. And if he's not the leader in the O-line room from day one, then he'll be one of the leaders and quickly, I believe, will emerge. He's that kind of, he's got that kind of makeup. You know what I mean? So when you watch him, he's not a dominant road grading, move guys off the defensive line type of blocker. He gets beat inside on occasion, and then I think that's where you start talking about the 32 5/8 inch arm length or 33 at the LSU Pro Day. But he's a guy who will work tirelessly to perfect his craft, and he's really light on his feet. He moves really well. He bends well for a taller guy who's kind of got that erect stance, if you will. And when you're picking in the top 10, you obviously want to get an elite player. And there are two guys at the top in Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter that are the elite of the elite. And then there's some other guys at non-premium positions. Ashton Jeanty, Boise State running back. Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end. Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. But the next notch of players, he's right there at or near the top. And he's at a premium position. And it just so happens that premium position is critically important for the New England Patriots. So I'm not saying that's definitively the pick, but all signs kind of point towards Mike Vrabel knowing he needs that O-line room leader and a guy that he can count on. And they can't afford to whiff on this pick and probably can't afford to take a player maybe that has a slightly higher grade at a position that's not a premium position in terms of value.
So when it comes to Will Campbell, if he turns out to be a guard and not a tackle at the next level, is that a whiff for the Patriots?
Well, I think that's having that as a fallback, because if you whiff at wide receiver, you whiff. If you whiff at cornerback, you whiff, If you whiff at a tackle and he can play guard and he's a damn good guard for a long time, you got a single and you were swinging for a triple, but you'll take that single and help. It'll be part of the protection and the plan to keep Drake May healthy and protect your biggest asset as an organization. So I hear you. That's not the plan. That's not the plan. I got you.
But when you mention premium positions versus non-premium positions,
is a non.
All right, guard's not a premium position. So is it better to and not just the Patriots, but any team in a vacuum? Is it better to get Ashton Jeanty, who works out and is a stud running back, but not at a premium position, or a stud guard in Will Campbell?
How good was Saquon Barkley with the Giants versus how good was he with the Eagles?
He was decidedly average before going in his final year with the Giants. Yes,
and I think that's part of the conversations that you have. That we're not there. You wish organizationally we were there, where we could bring in Jeanty and we had an offensive line that we believe in. And we can put them in behind them, and that will take a lot of pressure. I mean, if you believed in your offensive line, I'd say, pull the trigger. But they don't, and it's the biggest need heading into the draft. So I wish I could come on with you guys today and say, oh, this is shaping up perfectly. We got a Joe Alt here, or it sounds like Shador's going 3 to the Giants, which don't rule that out yet. And you're going to get Abdul Carter, and we're going to have an elite pass rusher here for the next 10 years in Foxborough. But unfortunately, this draft is void of some elite talent at the top that we usually see. It's a really good and deep draft at defensive line, at running back, and a couple other positions. When you get in the 3rd, 4th round, you can get guys you normally can't get. But at offensive tackle, if you don't, that's the other thing, man. Like, you look at the Patriots, where they pick at 38 in the 2nd round. Who's going to be there? So you got to look at this as a combination thing with Wolf and Vrabel and their trusted confidants inside that, the draft room. If we pass on Will Campbell, let's say, here at 4, and we go, even if it's Abdul Carter, but if we go a different position here, and then we get to 38 and we still don't have a left tackle, who are we getting there? Because Campbell's gone. Armand Membu from Missouri's gone. Josh Simmons is gone. Kelvin Banks from Texas is gone. Josh Connerly's very likely to be gone by 38, definitely. And I think that's about it. So where else are you looking? And the drop-off is steep at that position specifically. So you've got to factor in, all right, if we take the tackle here, we could still get a really good pass rusher. We can get a good wide receiver at 38. But if we pass on tackle here, what are we going to get? And the answer is nothing that you're excited about.
You mentioned Shador Sanders earlier, and obviously we know he met with the Giants yesterday. Do you think there's any chance at all that he still goes 3?
I think there's a chance. It's interesting. I was getting ready on this weekend to kind of close the book. Like, all right, it's Cam Ward 1 to Tennessee, Travis Hunter 2 to Cleveland, and Abdul Carter 3 to the Giants. And I had a couple conversations with people in the league, high-ranking officials, and they're like, and I was kind of floating it out there, like this goes 1, 2, 3, and in both of those calls, it was like, I hear you, and that's probably how it's going to play out, and you're right about 1 and 2, but don't close the book on it, because what my sources and people I'm talking to in the league are saying that there's a couple people inside that Giants organization that are still pushing for Shador. Now, what I don't know is it ownership? Because ownership has had to sit in that market, and how people in New England think it, in Boston think it's it can be critical and difficult here. New York's a whole different animal, and so when you've got an owner that cares about being on the front page and being the story, when you've had to take a backseat to Aaron Rodgers and everything that's gone on with the Jets for the last couple of years. I do wonder if ownership's going to step in the last minute and say, well, let's take Shador here and then we can worry about the rest later. So that remains to be seen. But everyone I've talked to seems to think that all this due diligence last minute in the last 14 days leading up to the draft, the Giants, it's not just Shador. I mean, everyone wants to talk about Shador because of his name value. He's the face of this draft. But it's also Jackson Dart. It's Tyler Shuck. It's Jalen Milroe. They're working all of these guys out. And so they're trying to figure out who are we in love with? Is there 1? Is there 2? And then at what point do we have to move from 34, where they pick in the 2nd round, up maybe ahead of Pittsburgh? If Shador starts to fall, if he doesn't go 3, I'm telling you, I don't think he's going to the Saints at 9. I think if the Saints were to take a quarterback, it would be Jackson Dart over Shador. So now all of a sudden you get in that 12, 13, 14, 15 range, and you've got Pittsburgh sitting there, and all the reports are Mike Tomlin really likes Shador. Maybe Atlanta, with 5 picks in the entire draft, wants to move back. You pop up there. You don't have to give away a first next year, and you go get Shador, and then you finish the first round with Abdul Carter and Shador Sanders. So that may be more in line with what the thinking is organizationally right now.
All right, we're talking with Todd McShay from the McShay Show, draft expert here, and you've already hit on the potential of Shador falling. Give me a name other than Ted McMillan that the Patriots could possibly be in on at wide receiver at 38. What about the kid from Texas? Howard.
I don't think Matthew Golden will still be there. I think there are going to be 3 receivers that get taken in the first round. Ted McMillan, as you mentioned, from Arizona, the Drake London type. I don't think he's quite that player, but And then you got Matthew Golden, who ran the fastest 40 of all the wide receivers at the combine, but also is a damn good football player. And then Emeka Ibuka, who doesn't have a special trait, but kind of like Terry McLaurin coming out, like the character, the reliability, the consistency, like all those things as a slot receiver. So
see, Vrabel mentioned boundary guy though, so I'm thinking X or Z, right? Like you've got
Jaden Higgins.
Diggs.
I was getting there, and I'm glad you got me there, Scotty.
Go ahead.
Jaden Higgins would be a great fit. When I look at Higgins and I look at what he could offer coming out of Iowa State, he worked out really well, but it's beyond that. He's 6'4". He's 214 pounds.
He's a basketball guy too, right?
He was, yeah. But he knows how to get off the press. He might be the best in this receiver class at getting off the press. Really reliable hands, sharp route runner. I like Higgins a lot, and after Ted McMillan, he's like the next guy with size but is like ready to come in the league and play. He and his running mate, they were perfect complements at Iowa State. And I don't think it fits what New England wants, but Jalen Knoll, the other slot wide receiver, is a phenomenal player too. So Trey Harris is another guy, but I 38's too early, and I don't think he gets to round 3 coming out of Ole Miss. Big physical, ex-receiver, really good after the catch. But Higgins, to me, I've kind of earmarked that. If they're going to go receiver and get the guy that Vrabel's been he hasn't been hinting at it. He's been blatantly talking about it. I think Higgins is the perfect match.
Again, we're talking with Todd McShay here on Zolak and Bertrand. Would there be any chance that the Patriots surprise us and get away from tackle early and consider someone like Mason Graham? That name is kind of faded around here. We were talking about him going back a couple of months ago, but it's not really a guy who gets mentioned frequently now. Is there any chance of that happening?
I think it's real low. I do think you're going to see an interior defensive lineman, with Barmore and the blood clots, and even though they spent all the money on the top interior defensive lineman and Milton Williams coming out of Philadelphia. But I do think that they're going to look for depth there, and this class is loaded. I mean, this defensive line group, interior and edge, I went back 30 years. 26 is the most we've seen in the first 3 rounds with both of those positions combined. I've got 35 guys with grades in the first 3 rounds. So even if I'm wrong by like 8, if I've overgraded 8 of those guys, which I don't think I did, we're still going to set the record for the most interior defensive linemen and edge guys in this class. And so there's players to get when you get into that 3rd round range and even early 4th, because a couple of them will wind up sliding. So I wouldn't be surprised if you got done with the first 4 rounds and looked at it. Like, we got our offensive tackle, we got a wide receiver, and then we've got maybe at least one of those 2 interior or edge guys, and maybe both by the time they're done with the first 4 picks.
Between those guys and running backs, are those the 2 deepest spots in this draft?
Yes. Interior defensive linemen, edge rushers, and running back. This running back class it almost doesn't make sense how all of these guys at a line came out this year. And I think part of it's like we still have that hangover year from COVID. We now have transfer portal. We have NIL keeping guys in. They're making more money in college than they would as a 4th, 5th round draft pick. So, excuse me, Ashton Ginty is beyond. I haven't talked to a team that doesn't have him as one of the top 4 players in this draft. The gap is only sizable because he's that good, but Omarion Hampton's going to be a star in the league coming out of North Carolina. The 2 Ohio State backs, different. They bring different things to the table, but Travion Henderson could be a Jahmyr Gibbs type if utilized in that way. Quinshon Judkins, a power, acceleration type of guy. Caleb Johnson, zone blocking, really good feel coming out of Iowa. Cam Scatabo, just a bulldozer of a runner and just a damn good football player, and that's just the top 6 backs. Then you get into a whole bunch of them that are like either pass catchers and the versatile, scat back types is what we used to call them. Like RJ Harvey from UCF, DJ Giddens, the traits he has coming out of Kansas State. Dylan Sampson, the offense ran through him at Tennessee, and then some other power backs later, like Damian Martinez from Miami. So there's a little bit of everything you want, and I could absolutely with Josh McDaniel, that offense, like I could see them getting someone who's very good at catching the football, can be a difference maker in that regard, another weapon for May, somewhere in that 3rd, 4th round range, comes in and makes an immediate impact.
All right, what's going to be the biggest surprise in this draft? The thing we're talking about after night one.
It's where the quarterbacks go. I think Shador's going to fall, man.
I do too.
I think Shador's going to – if it's not the Giants at 3, I'm here to tell you it's not Las Vegas at 6. It's not the Jets at 7.
This could be Aaron Rodgers.
9 if my intel could be wrong, and it is a dome team and they play in favorable weather in that division, so maybe Shador would fit better. But I look at Kellen Moore, an offensive coordinator, 3 different places: Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. They're all bigger, sturdy guys, mobility and stronger to Herbert, elite arm strength. That's Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. Yep.
You know what I mean? And Shador's more like I don't know what Cleveland's going to do with 33. Are they going to move back in? I view Kevin Stefanski. Look at the guys he's won with. Like winning 10, 11 games with Kirk Cousins and who was it? Was it McCown or I forget who the other? He's won a lot of games with precision. Accurate, fast processing quarterbacks. That's what Shador is. Doesn't have the big arm, doesn't have the great mobility, but he's going to read it fast. He's really accurate throwing the football. And so it'll be interesting to see where that fit is. I have heard Mike Tomlin really, really likes Shador Sanders. So the parachute is probably 21. But you think like every pick's 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And so you get to pick 4, we're an hour in. You get to pick 8, we're 2 hours in. Like it could be a long night. And I think you saw that list come out.
He's not going to
like
draft.
17, 18 guys going. He's not going to draft. I think he knows that again, could go 3, but if he doesn't, it could be a long night. No one wants all the cameras on him like that.
Well, he's getting his jersey retired, so you get,
Yeah, he's got that going on for him.
Yeah, he does.
Amazing.
He does.
Yeah.
Todd, it's great.
You guys are something. I love it.
I mean, 13 and 12 in 2 years. I mean, Cordell Stewart
love
played
Thank
there
God
too.
he's over 500. Yeah, that's really exciting stuff.
Yeah,
We love that.
Todd, we appreciate it, man.
You got it, fellas. Good talking to you. Good catching
too.
up finally.
Have a good week.